Now we're going to create a couple projects in this lesson. I want to start first with a blank project so we can explore drawing brushes. I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to name this Drawing Brushes to keep my file separate. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a new page. I'm going to take all my sketch work for creating my drawing brush and move it off to a separate page so it's out of my way and not cluttering up my main window. So I'm going to go to File, Create a New Item, and just choose a page. I'm going to name it Sketch, since this is where I'm going to be sketching my drawing brush. Let's create a tall, thin rectangle. I'm going to go to the Properties, and I'm going to make the fill a bright red. Now I'm going to copy that and paste it. I'm just going to drag this one over to the right next to the first. I'm going to take the fill of this one and make it white. And I want to take both of these rectangles and get rid of the stroke. So now I've got a simple red rectangle next to a white rectangle. I'm going to change the alpha channel on both of these to be 50%. So I've got a half-transparent red rectangle and a half-transparent white rectangle. Now I'm going to turn these into a drawing brush. One of the things that drawing brushes are remarkably useful for is to repeat a pattern over and over again. However, to create a drawing brush, I need a single point in my hierarchy where everything from there down will be converted into the brush. If you look at my two rectangles, the first parent that they have in common is my layout root, and I can't turn my entire layout, well, I could turn my entire layout into a drawing brush, but it wouldn't be very useful. So I'm going to Control select both of my rectangles and group them into a grid. Now that they have a common parent, I can convert this into a drawing brush. Under Tools, Make Brush Resource, I make a drawing brush resource. Now my resource dialog comes up. I'm going to call this One Thread. Now when I create this resource, I want to create it at the application level, because if I create it in my sketch right here, I'd only be able to use these resources here in the sketch. So let me move it up to the application and say OK. Now let me create a new rectangle, and I'm going to take the fill and apply that one thread. I'm going to break the connection with the resource by going in and editing the tile brush itself, but I want to change the tile mode to tile. Now if you look in the preview, I've got the red stripe followed by the white stripe and so on over as we move. Let me take the brush transform tool and reposition where this brush shows up in my rectangle. Now by changing the width of my brush, it allows that repeating tile to show up, so I get a nice red and white stripe. Now let me make this rectangle a little bit thinner. I made it too big in the first place. And I'm going to copy it and create another rectangle next to it. Now as I make my rectangle narrower, it squeezes all of those lines together to the point where it looks like just a pink block. So I want to make sure that I adjust my gradient so that I can still see where all of those pieces are. That should do for now. So now I need to create another rectangle next to this one, kind of like I did with my first stripes. I'm going to press Ctrl-C to copy it, Ctrl-V to paste it, and move this rectangle over. Now I want to change this one to a solid white fill, but again I want it to be half transparent. So now I have my stripes next to a white box right next to it. Let me go ahead and select both of these and group them, this time into a view box. The particular layout control that I use is really only going to be important if I want to modify that layout container afterwards. I'm going to use a view box because I need my shape in a moment to be a perfect square. By moving it to a view box, I can modify the size to whatever I want, and everything relays out accordingly. Now I'm going to grab this adorner, and you can see that it's reporting that the width is 230 pixels. If I move down to this adorner, it shows that my height is 237. So by knowing that, I can just grab this and keep dragging slowly until I reach the desired width. Now, I'm going to copy this and paste it.